Well, good Wednesday morning. It's Dr. Bill Williams on the Influencer Podcast. We're here today with Martez Knox, CEO and founder of BakedBot.ai up in Chicago, Illinois. I think you're going to have a little fun with this one. This is Influencer Podcast number 158. And here we are with Martez. How are you doing? I'm bringing you on now live across the world. Influencer Podcast. Hello, Martez.
I'm great, Dr. Bill. Wonderful introduction. Thank you. Glad to be here. It's a bit of a rainy day here in Chicago, a little gray outside, but we won't let that stop us from having a great time today.
No, I'm right with you. No, we got the gray, we got the rain. That El Nino is taking a toll across our country, but we're inside, we're safe, we're sound. Most happily, we're on the Influencer Podcast talking to some great people. I've had fun already this morning talking about recapturing old building materials. That's a topic I've not thought I would talk about. Now, the topic I talk about what you and I talk about, I didn't think I'd be talking about that either. So tell us what BakedBot.ai is all about. This is going to be fun, y'all. Listen up.
Sure. Well, as you previously stated, my name is Martez Knox. I'm founder and CEO of BakedBot. I'm one half of a duo that helps run the company. Other founder is Jack Allen. We focus on building artificial intelligence solutions for the cannabis industry. We use machine learning primarily, but we're trying to solve some pretty complex problems around regulation as well as personalized marketing, being able to target the right individual at the right time using artificial intelligence, as well as our AI bud tender, which helps dispensaries Netflixify their websites. So we're bringing the Netflix experience to dispensary websites to bring personalized cannabis strains and recommendations.
Well, it's kind of interesting. You mentioned Netflix. I'm a big fan of Netflix, and I have an idea that I want to have downtime in the evening after working all day. And so I'm looking to sit back and relax and just enjoy. Go get what I want when I want it.
Absolutely. And what we found is, and this is incidentally what inspired us. When you look out at the cannabis industry, it's kind of like how the movie industry was 20 years ago, right? You had all these different titles and all these different genres, but there was no real way of it being organized or for you to find out, is this something or a movie that I would like, right? So you might tune in, and watch 5 movies before you actually find a good movie that actually suits you. The innovation that Netflix brought to the table was using machine learning to discover what movies you actually will be likely to like, right? And that's one of the same innovations that we want to bring to cannabis retail. There are hundreds of strains, literally. And this is a big thing with dispensaries, because if a customer walks into your dispensary and they get a strain that doesn't help them medically, they're not likely to come back, right? It's just like any other business in that respect. So getting the strain right, that's a key thing in customer retention in the industry.
So I guess a good analogy would be you walk into a store, you say, give me a pill. And one could be an aspirin, one could be a laxative. You're not going to get the same result.
Absolutely. And with cannabis, it's even worse than that, because it's, depending on your body type, metabolism, there are a ton of different factors that determine whether or not this particular strain will be for you, or whether or not it will be more suited for me, right? So me personally, I'm more of a sativa guy, right? I like to, have a toke after I get done at work, whatever. And what I find is it doesn't make me tired, right? It actually makes me go to work more, right? Even after I get off work, right? So, and that's just me. And each individual is different. It's different as the strains themselves. So, this is one of the problems that we're working to solve.
And you've got to work with each state in a little different way, because the laws differ. The allowances for THC and CBD are all intertwined, and they're regulated more in some places and less in others.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Bill. You raised a good point. Each state is a mini kingdom unto itself, right? And there are different laws that, for example, in Illinois, that don't apply in a state, like Florida, right? For example, so each state has its own set of different laws. What our tool is aiming to do, and what we've been able to do, is train our models on each of those laws, that legislative text, and be able to query our large language models and use it in more useful and novel ways to make sure that these businesses are compliant with each local state regulations.
So that's pretty good. You can have something that has national usage and understand local law. That's pretty important.
Absolutely. And that's one of the key things, being able to localize your advertising campaigns, your social media, everything, because each state literally has a different set of laws on the books. And that's why you see, a lot of folks, beyond just banking, they want to see some federal action take place, because it kind of makes things a little bit more uniform and predictable, right?
Now, what is the motivation you have to get into the field of working with cannabis, but also to use AI within the industry? Those two things married together is pretty unique.
Yeah. So I'm a very big proponent of social equity in the industry. So ultimately, I come from kind of an entrepreneurial / corporate background, but I felt that making the leap into cannabis was, for me, about, as much about being successful and building and bringing a product to market that dispensaries can use, as it is about social equity, right? So I'm not much of a fan of the plant touching side of things, right? I am, as far as dispensaries, but myself, I just feel like it has a lot of overhead, and it's a lot of stuff to run a dispensary, right? So my background is in tech, and my goal is to bring artificial intelligence to the cannabis industry in a way that promotes such social equity, right? And it brings a lot of the other smaller social equity organizations along, and kind of levels the playing field, if you will. So ultimately, that's what motivates me, being able to bring these solutions to some of the mom and pop shops, right, that can't afford, an $80,000 a year marketing manager, or a content writer, or a copywriter, right? We posit that these tools, these generative AI tools, will allow dispensaries to do a lot more with less, and that's where we kind of fit into the ecosystem.
All right, that's good. Let's set that up a little bit more about the failures in the industry for small mom and pop stores before they found out or could use your AI. What was happening to them?
Oh, wow. So before artificial intelligence, dispensaries would have to hire social media managers, right? They would either, outsource that, or in a lot of cases, they'll bring in a social media manager, and maybe they pay $40,000 a year, right? Only discover that, month 2 or 3, things aren't quite working out as expected, right? They aren't growing their followers. The KPIs just aren't looking favorable for them, right? So what we, after talking to several dispensary owners, one of the first things that we notice is they don't spend a lot of money on marketing, right? It's almost like an afterthought, right? And we don't want to necessarily change the amount of money they spend, right, which is around 5% of revenue every year, right? What we want to do is take that 5% and be able to do a lot more with less, right? Perhaps move a few of them away from marketplaces, which consume a great deal of that, 5% budget, and actually put that into their own marketing and holistic SEO campaigns, and different things of that nature. So um, that's where we see it. So top 3 reasons why dispensaries fail: marketing, right? Um, 2, I think that their costs perhaps maybe not be in line. The product mix is also a big part of that. And I think, the third, and this is probably should have been number 1, when you're looking out at the cannabis industry is regulations, right? This industry is extremely highly regulated. And you need, lawyers, you need consultants, you need, help to meet all of these different regulations and red tape across these different states. So the biggest thing I would say is certainly regulations, and taxes. I think would fall under that umbrella, right? Um, Taxes on cannabis products in most places like Illinois are nearing 20-30%. And you don't get a big bang of a return for that, right? It's not like it's being recycled back into the industry towards social equity applicants or whatnot, right? So those are three reasons that, yeah.
I think it's probably being sent to the Ukraine this year.
That and a million other places, right?
And not going back to the community, that's for sure. Hey, let's get into some of the secret sauces, your AI tools. On your website, I'm going to read a list of things on your website that are features and different modules. Netflixify, multi-tech, is that right?
Yeah.
Multi-touch attribution, AI analytics, AI inventory, blog generator, doc chat, keyword tool, social media post creator, product description generator. Now you got a list of these that are available. Talk through us about some of the success secrets that this brings to that business that you provide.
Absolutely. So my background is in marketing, right? I've been everything from a marketing manager to running a lead generation agency, right? So the tool is very much reflective of my background and some of the experiences that I've been through as a marketing manager. So one of the things that I think is important for dispensaries, and I would say this is probably number one, is a secret, is to focus in on your SEO and your keyword research to get at those local customers in a way that where you don't have to keep paying weed maps and some of these other third party marketplaces to keep generating new customers, right? So that's absolutely one. Second would be run programmatic ads local to you, right? So find new and innovative ways to get at these customers. In a lot of cases, you aren't going to be able to run ads on Facebook or Instagram unless you come up with some clever ways to kind of sidestep those regulations. So programmatic ads would certainly be number two, right? And number three is just engage with your customers, right? Be in tune with them. What are their likes? What are their dislikes? Where do they hang out at? Right? What are they listening to? What are the top artists that they follow? Right? The more that you can get an eye and get a good ear on your customer, the easier your marketing is going to be. Right? The further you are away from your customer where it doesn't resonate, the harder things become. Right? So what we try to do is take our AI tool, right, and kind of infuse it with those attributes, if you will. Right. So we use machine learning to sort of predict what customers will like in the future. Right. So we know that if you came in today on Tuesday, every Tuesday at 5 o'clock and you buy an OG strain, there's a good chance that next week around Tuesday at 5 o'clock or so, you're going to come in and we want to deliver you something that you'll probably like at that moment. Right. So we want to be able to do this one-to-one marketing at scale across, thousands of customers at scale. So I think those are the three things that dispensaries can kind of look at, right? Getting closer to those customers, running SEO campaigns, and just generally having a strategy when it comes to this sort of thing.
Now, do you have happy hour built into your dispensaries?
We don't, but that is certainly something we have to look at right now.
What is the company motto at BakedBot.ai?
Absolutely. Go hard or go home.
Go hard or go home.
Go hard or go home.
I think you pretty much touched on it, but is there a particular reason that a local dispensary should buy from you versus anybody else?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, uh, social equity in our industry is big, right? So I'll start there. If you are an individual out there that cares about social equity in the cannabis industry, then you should be rooting for SaaS companies like BakedBot that are able to scale and reach multiple thousands of customers at any given moment in time, right? So I wouldn't say that's number one, but I would appeal to their sensibilities on that front as well. If you're looking to be more efficient, right? If you're looking to get more done with less, right? And if you want to be on the cutting edge of what's coming out in the industry, then I think that you want to, get on our side, join our beta list, and be a participant. Because your feedback is actually pertinent and the most important thing that we can actually have right now. Because what we're doing is we're talking to dispensary owners, we're talking to big cannabis brands, and we're getting their feedback, and they're saying, "Hey, this is what we can use. This is what's not working." Again, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll buy the product, but our goal is to build a product that they can use, right? And then sell the heck out of it at that point, right? So, our ideal client, good question. Our ideal client is typically a smaller dispensary. Um, they have 1 to 3 locations. They're usually a single state operator, SSO. Their budget is right around 5-6% of their revenue. Uh, they usually have a marketing manager already in house, although they don't necessarily have all the other pieces that go with that, right? And if we were to hone in a bit more, we're finding that social equity dispensaries are also knocking on our door to chat. So, smaller 2 to 3, revenue under 500K a year, uh, marketing manager, but no auxiliary staff to go along with that.
So when you say social equity, define that.
Sure. So social equity, when it comes to the cannabis industry, is our initiatives meant to right some of the wrongs from the war on drugs, from the 70s and 80s and 90s. So what it's meant to do is some of the people that were affected by harsh cannabis laws, which you have people currently in jail for cannabis, right? Even as we speak, right? 39 states have legalized it. We still have folks in federal prison, right? So this is a nod towards, you know, how do we rectify some of those that war on drugs that just went way, way, way too far, right? How do we give back to these communities and not do it and not let the market develop in an unbalanced way, right? Because we know that in capitalism, the way that things work is capital usually wins, right? And in many states, that's what we're seeing, right? You have social equity programs, but you don't have entrepreneurs of color, Latino, Black, across the spectrum, um, female, that don't have access to the resources to compete with some of the bigger guys. So when we talk about social equity, what we're talking about is essentially, and I don't know that you can kind of legislate this thing, right? I'm going to be honest, right? I'm a supply side kind of capitalist guy, right? I don't know that you can legislate this thing, but to the extent that you can, right? This is what we're going for, some sort of equity and giving entrepreneurs in this space the opportunity to compete with some of the other bigger players, right? Um, I hope did that get at the social equity question for you, Dr. Bill?
It
Okay.
does. It gives
Yeah.
shines a light on that concept. Yes. Looking for your clients now. You talked about your client being the dispensary primarily, but do you market to the supplier? Do you market to the end user, or do you market just for the dispensary?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, we're a B2B focused company, so we're marketing at dispensaries and cannabis brands specifically. We're in beta. We'll be soon in alpha. Most of our customers have found us through, networking, personal one-to-one relationships, or in some cases they've heard me speak at different events and different venues. But generally, that's how they find us. Usually, it's through LinkedIn, and it's a message, how can we find out more? How can we utilize your tool? We want to grow our sales. Can you help us? And my door is always open. Open door policy. I have a soft spot for smaller dispensaries with small marketing teams, right? Because those are the guys that I think really will benefit from this technology. So that's pretty much how they're coming to me in short right now.
So this is kind of a loaded question. Do you either smoke or crush your competition?
Well, I'm from Chicago, so I say we smoke our competition. But yeah, I think that we do that by constantly trying to innovate, right? So we have our generative AI tools. Right now, we're building autonomous agents for the industry. I don't know of any AI companies in this space right now that are going after our autonomous agents that are able to do things and act independently of the marketing manager, right? So we're at the forefront of the cutting edge of the industry.
We did mention that you have some well-defined products. We listed some of the actual features, but you got 3 or 4 levels of service you have?
Absolutely, absolutely, and this is great question. We have programmatic ads, which allow cannabis operators and brands to reach new customers and regulated audiences in all 39 of the markets. Right. We also have what's known as our Canna Hub, and these are our generative AI tools as well as autonomous agents. Right. And the third part of our tool is the AI bud tender. Right. So essentially, we cover all portions of the funnel. Right. Our regulated ads allow dispensaries to attract new customers. Our Canna Hub tools allow those same dispensaries to nurture, personalize those marketing communications to those customers. And once you get those customers on your website, our AI bud tender allows these customers to see strains that are specific and they're sure to love.
Educational content, motivational content, funnel builder, funnel promotion. Sounds pretty comprehensive to me.
Yeah, the goal here is, again, we're focusing on the smaller dispensaries, right? We know that they don't have big budgets for a marketing manager, a copywriter, an editor, different strategists and whatnot, an ads guy, right? So we know that they don't have all these folks in place. Our goal is to use AI to sort of augment what they do have in place, right? So if you have a marketing manager using our tools, they can run programmatic ads. They don't have to hire a separate individual to do that, right? Or when it comes time to nurture the customers that you do have, your email list, they don't have to hire an email marketer, right? They can use our AI tools to do that, right? So dispensaries are doing more with less, right? Especially since they're in a regulatory environment that it just forces us to be doing more with less. So we meet them where they are.
Yeah, I want to know if this particular AI system and your marketing techniques are cross industry useful or planned for the future. Are you going to take what you're doing and go outside of the cannabis industry?
Certainly, Dr. Bill, and that's a great question. Plan is to go tackle cannabis initially, but as you've noticed, these tools can be applied across numerous industries, specifically retail industries. So we do have plans to tackle other verticals and other industries as well. Right now, though, it's all cannabis, right? We want to come in and make our mark and do our thing in the cannabis space, and then at that point, we'll look at some of the other industries that are able to be disrupted. But yeah, the technology definitely it goes well across numerous verticals. If there is anyone out there interested in discussing or wondering how our tools can better your business, by all means, reach out to me.
Okay, that's interesting information, and I'm sure our audience will take a heed and understand that there's more to it than just that particular zone. The pot zone, the cannabis zone is a specific zone, but there's more to it than that. It's AI. Speaking of AI, Which of the AI regenerative tools are you fond of working with? Do you have a particular chat GPT or something that you actually build your base on?
Yeah, so we use ChatGPT, um, as well as, I mean, it's hard to kind of narrow this down, but I'll just say I'm a fan of Claude 3, as well as ChatGPT 4. We also have on ChatGPT, we also have our own GPT. It's called BakedBot GPT. So it's a cannabis focused GPT that's trained on all sorts of neat cannabis data. So I'm a huge fan, obviously, of ChatGPT as well as Claude. If there is anybody out there, looking at large language models and wondering where to start, Claude is absolutely a great model. They're crushing it, particularly the ones that they recently introduced.
That's the thing about AI. It's yesterday's AI is not today's AI. It's like a grown up ninja warrior compared to a kindergarten cop.
Yeah, absolutely. Things move so rapidly. I like to say that what used to take 6 months, it seems to take a month or less in AI right now. So things are moving very rapidly.
Tell me about your most favorite valuable feature in your AI platform.
Good question. So I think right now, and we're currently in the process of building this, but I think our autonomous agents. Uh, I think that first let me kind of get at what autonomous agents are. Right, these are software AI software programs that are able to act independently um, of you, regardless of what you have going on, and it takes into consideration whatever state it currently is in, and it generates tasks and decides from there. Right. So what does this look like? Right. I'm a marketing manager. I have no idea how to run a social media campaign for my dispensary. Right. Right. I go to BakeBot. I open the autonomous agents up. I enter a goal. Right. Our goal is to manage our social media campaigns. What the autonomous agent will do is break down the goal into subtasks. Right. And this is what, if you were to hire a marketing agency, this is the exact same approach that they would take, right? And in some cases, as the initial portion of our tool, it'll list the tasks out. But as we grow and as we, launch different versions, new generations of the tool, it'll actually be able to take autonomous actions, right? So the first action that we're working on is being able to send out tweets, right? So if I'm a marketing manager for, XYZ dispensary, and I say, hey, I want to run a social media campaign for my social equity focused dispensary located in the heart of Chicago, downtown Chicago, right? You can put that in as a goal. The autonomous agent will break down those tasks and it'll send a tweet out every day based off that task without you having to do a thing, right? So this is where we want to take the industry. You may not be able to hire a social media manager. Guess what? You can use artificial intelligence to, deliver a lot of what a social media manager would do for you, right? Except for this social media manager is hyper intelligent. It learns every single day based off reinforced feedback, right? People clicking like or you know sentiment analysis where we're analyzing the comments that people leave on your post, right? To know whether or not that was a good job. Let's produce more content like that, right? So this is what we're bringing to the industry. So autonomous agents are the future, right? I think that this is one of the paths of how we get to AGI, artificial general intelligence.
I like it. This is exactly where the industry's going. And if you don't have autonomous agents in your future, you will. They
Yep,
might they might be working for you, or they might be working for your competition.
they'll absolutely be working for the competition. I'll make sure of it.
Now, uh, what would you like to see added to the platform that you don't see right now? What's a
Hmm.
valuable thing that you want?
Yeah, this is another great question, Dr. Bill. So if I had my wish list, we would be able to develop and train more models. Right now, we use Hugging Face to, we use open source models and we fine tune and we do that or whatnot. But I think our goal as a company in the bigger kind of scheme of things is to get to a point where we're developing our own models, right? So that we can, you know, have checks on the different biases and different things and whatnot that you're currently seeing in the industry. So, you know, ultimately, we want to do more than just generative AI and applied AI. We do want to be able to build and develop and have our own corpus for our own models, as it were.
Makes a lot of sense. Jumping into a marketing question about buying paid digital media, give us some ballparks about what percentage of that 5% that most times you recommend for a mom and pop store spending their revenue on advertising in general or marketing. How much did they put into paid digital media?
Yeah. So this is Dr. Bill. You got some great questions here. So this is somewhat of a loaded question. I think it depends on what mode you're in, right? If you're in growth mode, then you should probably of that 5%, you're going to be spending more, right? If you're not in growth mode, you know, and you're kind of protecting market share, then you're going to spend less, right? So, you know, I think that it's critical to take kind of an honest analysis of where you are at a company. Um, at BakedBot, we're still in beta. We've not quite hit that growth mode yet, but I would expect that, you know, most of our marketing spend will probably be in paid media initially, right? So analyze where you are as a company. I'll reiterate, and based on where you are as a company, I think that that would determine how you allocate your spending when it comes to paid digital media.
And that's just not just for your business, but for actual each store that you work with. They're going to have their own marketing budget.
Yeah, and absolutely, and to be fair, a lot of the mom and pop shops, you know, they don't really have a specific budget for like paid digital media, right? So what I always advise is do all the free stuff and get your messaging right, right? Run the social media campaigns, right? Run your email campaigns, right? Use all these stuff to get feedback to figure out, okay, is this messaging work? It makes no sense to have, you know, flawed messaging and going to spend, you know, 5K a month on digital media and you totally don't have what resonates with your audience. So do all the free stuff first, guys.
Just for our audience's understanding of the cannabis industry, a mom and pop store, what's their annual revenue typically?
Sure. And mom and pop is may not be fair, right? But the average dispensary's revenue was 500K a year, right? So that's a little bit more than, you know, typical retail establishments, right? But you know, when you compare it to some of the corporate guys that maybe do 10 million a location, 20 million a year per location, it certainly adds context and color to it. These are small operators, right? And you know they're operating on very, very tiny margins due to the way that the regulations are written.
Gotcha. So give us a little bit of insight into your five-star client experience.
Mm, yes. So I'm a fan of white glove service, right? You know, from the moment that you come in to the BakedBot universe, we go and try to do above and beyond what would be expected, right? Because we understand that you have options, right? You can go to our competitors, right? So um, myself, I have an open door policy. I take emails at 1, 2 in the morning. I'm dealing with client stuff all day, every day. So, you know, my um, you know, example of a 5-star experience is just making sure that we're focused on their needs and what they are hoping to achieve, right? And not so much as ours. Ours is just the, you know, our tools are just a means to an end, right? We're focused on ultimately the outcome that the dispensary is able to achieve, whether that's more sales, more reviews, you know, more positive sentiment online. Uh, we want to be there, right? So my door is open, as well as the entire teams.
Like it. The white glove experience is so vital for success. Just the perfection that you envision when you see the the English
Yeah,
butlers coming in and setting the table just perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you convert clients to brand ambassadors?
Another good one. I think we over deliver, right? Um, when you over deliver and you do consistently more than what's expected, I think it becomes easy for someone to recommend you, right? The hard part comes in, if I recommend you to a friend, are you going to do right by them, right? Can I count on you to do what you said you were going to do, right? So consistently deliver on our promises, executing, right? And I think that if we deliver on that, it makes it easy to convert clients into brand ambassadors and to go share our messaging because these tools are powerful, right? If you're in a situation where you know you're facing budget issues as a dispensary, right? I and I'm in a position because I know about these tools. I want to tell you, right? I want to go ahead and inform you about the latest technology that's going on so that you can compete, right? So over delivering, over delivering all the time.
I got a joke for you based on over delivering. You want to hear it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, these two beekeepers are talking, and the one says to the other, "Excuse me, I ordered a dozen bees, but you gave me 13." And the other beekeeper says, "Don't worry, it's a freebie."
Oh wow, that's over delivery.
Over delivery. Lanyapi, a baker's dozen, and now a freebie.
Absolutely, I love it.
What today are you grateful for, Martez?
Oh wow. Well, I don't want to get too religious, but my pastor might be watching, so I'm certainly thankful for God, right? I'm thankful that He woke us up today. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday, so I'm absolutely grateful. My wife, my partner in crime, you know I'm thankful for her. I don't think that I can much do this without her. So shout out to Desire Knox. Uh, so yeah, I'm grateful for family, my church family. I'm grateful for you, Dr. Bill. Thank you for the opportunity to come on the show today. Really, really appreciate it.
You bet. Well, we want all faiths, races, nationalities, creeds represented, and the cannabis industry doesn't get too much airplay in some places. So I'm glad
Thank you.
to share with people what's working, and we can all learn from any industry, right?
Certainly, certainly, and we appreciate you. The industry thanks you for bringing us because we're trying to take this to a mainstream thing and extol the benefits of cannabis.
Yeah, do it. If you do it right, do it respectful, and don't abuse it. It's just like anything else, a good beer, a good shot of Jack Daniels, whatever,
Yeah,
it can
yeah.
make your day go better.
It absolutely can. And as an aside, I had an injury last year. I'm still recovering from, and I must say, the CBD pain creams because it's not all about just smoking, right? I think that sometimes when folks think about cannabis, they think about just the smoking aspect, right? But there are so many other ways to utilize this plant, right? From topical ointments to edibles, vaporization. Smoking is probably at this point the last thing, right? The last kind of traditional way to go about things. So I've been able to use it for pain relief to great effect. To great effect. So yeah,
Yeah,
CBD.
as a dentist and a person who is highly involved in pain control, I've come in contact with it and use it personally for muscle aches and pains. And so
Yep.
everybody that's older than 50 or 60 has probably already tried it for their aches and pains.
I
The
would say
CBD
40.
part. 40.
Yeah, I would say 40 as well, right? I throw myself in there, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
So tell me, what is it like if you're giving advice to people and you're looking back at a young person, particularly yourself, if you were 20, what would you say do?
Mm. So as a practical matter, humility, right? If I'm looking back at my 20-year-old self, I just say humble yourself, right? Be willing to forgive, right? Not necessarily forget, but be willing to forgive. Don't hold regrets. Don't hold on to regrets. And you know, for me, I always have win hard or go home, so I can't say that. I would just say, be smart. Um, I learned how to play chess when I was right at 20, right? So what I would further tell myself is, life is like a chess match. It's always going to be chess, not checkers. So get your game on, right? But be ready for the world. Things are going to change rapidly. You probably won't recognize the world that you started out in, right? But you know, be take advantage of it and just live, right? So number one is just humility, right? I was as a young guy, admittedly, I could be brash at times. I had this mentality where maybe I knew everything. At least my mom would certainly say that. I'm sure some of my family members would say everything. It took me to, hit a few brick walls, right, before I understood that, maybe I should start taking advice and listening, right? And at this point, I think that's when family members, when I grasped, right, let me listen to some of the older folks that have been there, made some of these mistakes that I've made, and go get some mentors. So 20-year-old
Absolutely.
self, go find some legitimate, solid mentors, right, that have your best interest in mind.
I like your chess analogy, especially. It's better to be the king than to be a pawn, but to understand that the queen is most powerful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which is why I give my wife all the
That's
credit,
right.
right?
That's right. Tell me what you want to be remembered for when you're all said and done, Martez.
Hmm. I think when it's all said and done, hopefully, as a family man, I've made some missteps, certainly as everyone has. But I would be okay if my family remembered me for having did some good, right? And I think on a larger, more societal note, I want to be remembered as the guy that inspired folks that started from maybe not much, right? Or maybe they come from a background that's not traditional, right? Maybe they don't believe they can do it, right? So I would want to be remembered as the guy that maybe inspired, even if it's just a few, to say, you know what, we can do it, right? We can launch an AI company. We can take on this industry. We can do things that are superhuman, right? All things through God, right, who strengthens us. So that's what I would want to be remembered for.
Excellent. Excellent. How can we support you and reach you if people want to get involved with the AI marketing?
Sure, sure. Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Martez Knox, Martezknox. You can also email us at hey, at BakedBot.ai. Uh, anyway, comments, you want to work together. We're looking for advisors right now, consultants. We're also raising money as well. So, you can reach out to me via LinkedIn or email hey at bakebot.ai. You can also go to our website and reach out through the contact us link.
Excellent. What's your experience like being on the Influencer podcast?
Wow, this was great. Questions were wonderful. Few of them kind of caught me off guard, right? But I love a good challenge. Uh, highly recommend your show. Yeah, it was a great experience. Thank you, Dr. Bill.
You're welcome, Montez. I'm going to give you the last word with the audience all to yourself. So I'll come back when you're done.
Thank you. Uh, well, if you care about social equity in the cannabis industry, I implore you to link up with us, to join us, to follow our company, because I firmly believe that no dispensary alone is going to be able to, you know, truly bring about a form of social equity that would make a difference, right? Whereas when we're talking about a tech company, a SaaS company, right? At some point in the not too distant future, we'll be dealing with hundreds, if not thousands, of customers, right? So if you're interested in social equity and that matters, you should be backing companies like BakedBot, right? SaaS tools that allow us to reach, thousands of customers at once, right? In a way that cannabis dispensaries just aren't able to, right? So if we're looking out at the cannabis industry, some of the smaller mom and pop operators, they're not going to necessarily be able to catch companies like Trulieve, right? So again, I would implore you to follow us, to join us, to link with us, right? Lend your energy to the movement, and have fun while we're at it.
All right. Thank you so much for the kind words and for the knowledge you shared with us today, Martez. It's been excellent. And the AI story of developing it for a particular industry is pretty unique, and we're glad that we were able to be a part of the sharing process. You are an influencer. You are making a difference in the world. So thank you for being here. And as far as everybody else out there, you can gain your freedom if you click on that QR code. How do you do that? Well, the freedom comes from joining us and learning all about what's going on at On Passive, which is my company, which is related to AI technology. You can follow the Influencer Podcast at drbillwilliams.tv, and the link to the AI technology is on that same page. You can find out about all the SaaS products we have. Many, many marketing products are here. Things that will benefit you, Martez, will benefit your dispensaries. A lot of free stuff that we give away so that they can blend it with what you give them. They can use what we have, and it's a great match. So I want to promote to you that we can work together with your type of AI and our type of AI, and together stronger. Particularly something like O-Tracker, which tracks tracks website traffic. That's one of our flagship products. So you can use that for your clients and save them a lot of money if you don't have one already. Much better than Google Analytics. So things like that matter, and we're glad to share that with you guys. Thanks for being part of our program today, Martez. Thank you, audience, for being here, and we look forward to seeing you on Friday for the next edition. Sorry, not Friday. I'm working. I got to be a dentist on Thursday and Friday this week. I've got to go and substitute in for my partners who are on vacation during it. I've got to stay here and work for them. See, I retired, Martez, but now they
I was just about to say, I was about to say, I thought you were retired, Dr.
They call me back in on an emergency basis for subbing for them. So I've still got my active license. I still do a little bit. Nice. So here I go. Nice. Next Influencer Podcast will have to be next Monday, I guess.
Yeah, I can only hope to be still working as hard as you, Dr. Bill, when I get there.
Hey, I'm 74 next birthday. It's a fun year. I can't wait.
Nice. I'll look forward to it.
You guys take care up Chicago.
Likewise.
See you guys online. Take care.
Bye now.